This is episode 1, and you're listening to The Hot Tag. Welcome to The Hot Tag, the podcast where I give you my thoughts on this week's WWE programming. I'll cover everything from Raw, SmackDown Live, 205 Live, NXT, and every pay-per-view in between. I'm your host, Blake Harris, and let's get this shit started. Raw started out with Kurt and Jinder opening up this show. Kurt welcomes Jinder to Raw. Jinder complains about Raw not meeting all his accommodations. Jinder compares himself to Brock Lesnar because we all know in the bottom of our heart that he is the Maharaja and the next Brock Lesnar. Angle says send his email request to him personally at kurt.angle@nofreakingway.com. I was honestly wondering if he was going to say an actual email account. Angle has been booked to be this guy that would do something like that. So what happens is Angle puts Jinder in an open challenge match for the U.S. title, which is a really weird thing to do considering, hey, you just got the title on your show. Let's have the possibility to lose it. Anyway, a returning Jeff Hardy answers the call. So we start off right with that match. It's the first thing. Pretty much a standard match. Neither person got a ton more offense than the other. Jeff looked really healthy. Was doing mostly everything he does for his age. Match goes back and forth, but eventually Jeff gets the upper hand, is able to hit Jinder with a Swanton Bomb. Gets the pinfall. Jeff wins via that. And a couple of things come to my head is, A, does Jeff get his pants made custom, or does Hot Topic still carry those style of pants? B, is there a better heel outside of maybe one or two superstars better than Jinder? I mean, he is a very type A heel. And it may be because he's 400. I'm not sure, but I look at him and I'm like, man, this guy's so good at being here. I don't want to pull for him. And the crowd doesn't want to pull for him. And watching this Jeff Hardy versus Jinder Mahal match was so nice to watch. It was stupidly simple storytelling. You had the babyface, everybody was behind. Nobody was not cheering for Jeff Hardy. You had the heel with Jinder Mahal where nobody was pulling for. He was pulling off the character perfectly. It was such a nice, refreshing match. I feel like we don't have that clear-cut kind of match anymore. But, yeah, it was just nice seeing a very standard, easy-to-tell face versus heel match that everybody can get behind. Third thing, or C, that came to my mind was, is Jeff Hardy ever not over? Anytime he's on the roster, 100% over. You don't even do anything, and he's just over now. But Jinder Mahal loses and says that he wants a rematch at the greatest Royal Rumble. That moves us on to Sasha Banks versus Bayley. And when this was getting announced, I was like, why are we getting this match on TV for free? This is pay-per-view quality match. But hey, whatever. I won't argue. More free matches that are better quality, I can't argue. Bayley comes out wearing the Green Ranger old school Rocky Maivia armor shit again without the tassels. And then the Riot Squad debuts and attacks both Sasha and Bayley during the match, causing a double DQ. And I immediately realized why we got this match on TV, because it was absolutely nothing. I'm not sure if this is setting up a feud with the Riot Squad or just a way to say, hey, look who's on Raw now. So this still leaves me wanting the heel Banks versus babyface Bayley match. So maybe I can get that. Not looking like Backlash. It really needs to be at least a Big 4 or Big 5, whatever it is now, type of match if it didn't happen at WrestleMania. Next up, we had the Authors of Pain debuting on Raw versus Heath Slater and Rhino. The match wasn't anything technical, and I'm fine with this. It pretty much just made AOP look super strong. Making them look strong by destroying the lesser tag teams is a good move. They could build AOP the same way they pretty much built Braun Strowman by doing this. So I'm okay with this. AOP wins via the last chapter. Next thing we'll move on to is Miz TV. And Miz has Sammy Zayn and Kevin Owens on this time. Looks like Sami and Kevin are on Raw now. Miz says that him, the Miz Taraj, Sami, and Kevin assembled are better than the NWO, the 1992 Dream Team, and the Avengers, which I would like to remind you are fictitious superheroes that should actually outduel anybody. But hey, the Miz Taraj, and the Sami KO, that's some tough stuff. But Angle comes out, and he's told this was Stephanie's decision. Lets the Miz know that he has been traded to SmackDown. So instantly, all I'm sure anybody else could think about was, thank you, Jesus, that we will get the Miz Daniel Bryan feud that we couldn't have last year or year before, or whenever it was, when it was so hot and Miz was just tearing it up on Talking Smack. But Angle informs everybody it's just the Miz going to SmackDown Live, and the Miz Taraj will be staying on Raw. This sets up a 10-man tag between Rollins, Balor, Strowman, and Lashley, and a new superstar versus Miz, Curtis Axel, Bo Dallas, Sami Zayn, and Kevin Owens. And that will be your main event. Next matchup, we had Woken Matt Hardy with Bray Wyatt versus The Revival. This is part of the Tag Team Tournament Finals. The Bar on commentary. It's not a great match. Hardy Wyatt win after hitting the modified twist of fate. Revival's not looking too good right now. I was high on them in NXT, but for whatever reason that they're losing me right now. It's possibly the booking. It seems that maybe the thing I liked about them were just the good matches, and they're just not having those good matches on WWE right now. And it is hard to have those good matches now. You don't have as much time. It's, I don't think anybody can pinpoint why NXT can constantly have good matches and WWE television can't. But that's the way it is right now. Either way, Hardy Wyatt win via modified twist of fate. They get a chance for the titles at the Greatest Royal Rumble. They have a segment where they talk about all the pay-per-views are co-branded now. I think I'm cool with this. Co-branded pay-per-views for the rest of the year. Takes a little bit away from the big 4 or 5 or whatever it is now, because I used to like to look forward to that and say, oh man, these are one of the few pay-per-views where they'll both be at this one. So now they're both at all of them. But I think overall it's a good idea. Most interesting pay-per-views come across the board now since the pool of talent is being larger. So they'll have more storylines and cross rivalries and all kind of things to do since they'll be sharing pay-per-views. So it could work out. We'll have to just wait and see how they book it. Angle has a segment with Ronda Rousey backstage. Kurt and Ronda are talking. He mentions how Steph won't go away that easy. And then Natty shows up, who is on Raw now, and reunites with Ronda and said that they trained together in the past. Very short segment just to build on something further. We move on to a women's match, Ember Moon versus Mickie James. We got Nia Jax on commentary. Nia is selling Moon really hard on commentary. Good way to build legitimacy for Moon, though, by having the women's champion talk well about her. Nia is also fleshing out some more of her in the Alexa Bliss storyline. Bliss was apparently supposed to be on the commentary booth as well, but was a no-show. We later learned she didn't want to come after Nia was going to be there. Match was a standard, let's make one look really strong kind of match. Mickie played the part well, and Moon looked really well. It was enjoyable for what it was. I'm excited about the potential for Ember Moon, though. So Ember Moon wins via the Eclipse. We move on to a segment with Dolph Ziggler, who I can never get behind. I haven't been behind ever. He seemed a lot more interesting back in the day when he had AJ Lee and Big E with him. But he has a segment. He's on Raw now. Comes out with the same "my music starts after I walk out" gimmick. That shit's fucking stupid. Titus Worldwide comes out. The whole crew, Titus, Apollo, and Dana Brooke. And can I just say I love this character for Dana for all the reasons. Anyway, Dolph turns them down. They asked him, hey, you could join Titus Worldwide, but he doesn't want any part of it. But he says he didn't come alone. Out of fucking nowhere, it's Drew motherfucking McIntyre. Motherfucker is on Raw from NXT, former NXT champion. They kill Apollo Crews with this Claymore zigzag combo move. Shit was dope as fuck. I don't know if I like this pairing, but I assure you that Vince is high on Drew. He checks every single box that Vince likes for a top star. So it's just a matter of time when he'll be in the title hunt for sure. This may even bring something interesting for Dolph, so who knows. Next segment is Corbin's on Raw. They show a quick video of Corbin and how he's going to be on Raw now. What is that? I want to say a great talent, but he's a good talent. But he deserves better than that. This is garbage all the way around. Bad thing is, he wasn't the only superstar treated like this. Let's remember the rest of the less fortunate superstars that got announced on Raw in lesser ways. Zack Ryder, Mojo, The Ascension, Mike Kanellis. I'm sure there's more, but I'm just going to point those out. We move into the next segment, which is a Roman Reigns segment, and I'm going to go ahead and post up and say I don't mind Roman Reigns. I think he's fine. He can be a little bland, but his matches are always normally really good. He can't help his booking, but his promo skills are a little bland. So he comes out spewing that typical Roman Reigns promo stuff just like he did last week. If you showed me both of those, I wouldn't know the difference. The whole segment felt like last week. I might be in Groundhog's Day right now. I don't know. Joe comes out like last week. Mostly says the same stuff. And he kills Roman Reigns again on the mic like last week. Shows all the Brock Lesnar clips where he's killed Roman Reigns. Not like last week. Joe says he'll put Roman Reigns to sleep at Backlash. I honestly forgot that was a pay-per-view. Joe starts coming down the ramp after Roman Reigns pretty much said, prove it. But Joe turns away halfway getting down the ramp. It's just playing mind games. Next, we move on to a Natty versus Mandy Rose match. It was pretty boring. Pretty much just used to continue the Ronda Natty stuff. Natty picks up the win via the figure 4, but then gets beat down by Absolution. But Ronda Rousey comes to help her out. Sonya Deville tries going one-on-one with Ronda and learns quickly that was a terrible fucking idea. And she gets the shit fucking beat out of her. And I believe put an arm bar. She may not even have an arm right now. I'll have to check Twitter on that one. Moving to Elias and Bobby Lashley. Elias cuts a backstage promo on Bobby. I guess that's where we're going with both of those guys. It could be good. They're both big dudes. I'd like to see them wrestle. Like a really good, longer match. Have a couple, 3 or 4 matches. That might be pretty good. Something to ease Bobby Lashley back into the WWE style of wrestling. Next was Breezango versus The Bar. Breezango are now on Raw. And I really did not get into the match. But the biggest takeaway from this is that Breezango picked up the upset win over The Bar. And we'll learn why later during the SmackDown review. Doesn't take much to figure out what happened there. But yeah, Breezango hit the schoolboy and pick up the win. Now for the last match of the show, we have a lot of bodies involved here. A ton of bodies. We have Rollins, Balor, Strowman, Lashley, and we find out who the surprise 5th person is. Bobby fucking Roode. Yes, people. Bobby fucking Roode. He's still working as a babyface. What the fuck is that? It's not interesting at all. I need fucking heel prick Bobby Roode. The one that thinks he's better than everybody else. The one that's not far removed from a Ric Flair. Anyway, they go up against Miz and Axel and Dallas, Sammy and Kevin. Typical shenanigans happens. Everyone kind of gets their turn to do stuff in the ring while others lay outside incapacitated. Because for some reason, when it's a one-on-one match, you can take a beating. But when it's a tag or multi-man, the littlest things just knock you out of the ring and you just stay there for hours. It was actually better than I thought it would. Like, I'm shitting on it right now, but it was better than I thought it would be. I would watch it again. It was fine. It was what it was, and like probably the best it could be. Miz goes for the tag at one point though, and the Miz Taraj jumps off the apron before he can tag either of the two in. So the Miz Taraj betrayed the man that got them back on TV on a consistent fucking basis. Man, fuck them. Fuck those guys. Fuck you, Curtis Axel. Fuck you, Bo Dallas. Turning your back on the Miz. So, Braun Strowman gets the Miz. Picks up the win by doing a running power slam on the Miz. Good guys win. That closes out Raw and kind of leads us into what might happen on SmackDown for the Superstar Shakeup. So on Tuesday, we have SmackDown Live start. And it opens up with AJ Styles versus Rusev. AJ calls out Nakamura initially for a match right then and there, but get answered by the debuting Rusev and Aiden English. So they end up having a match. AJ rolls up Rusev into the calf crusher less than a minute into the match, but Aiden English breaks it up with an attack on Styles. Daniel Bryan comes out to aid AJ. So AJ Styles wins via DQ there. We shift to Shane and Paige having a backstage segment. Paige does her best Teddy Long impression. Like, she really does. I'm not joking. She sets up a tag match with AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan versus Rusev, Aiden English. Exactly how he would say it. I'm not even going to imitate it. But there was a tag match player. Move on to Shelton Benjamin's segment. Apparently Gable got moved to Raw. That would have been nice to know on Raw. But either way, Benjamin said that there was a post on Twitter wishing him, Gable, the best of luck. He said that was not true. We have an incoming Benjamin heel turn. Said he was hacked. Starts talking about how Gable needed him and that he was just holding him back. So now he's a single wrestler. He wants a match. Luckily, the new U.S. title holder, Jeff Hardy, is willing to do that. But not before Randy Orton comes out and we think, oh wow, this is going to be Randy Orton versus Benjamin Shelton. How fucking exciting. But Jeff Hardy's music plays shortly after Randy does. And he just walks right on by Randy and says, hey, I'll take care of this fucking match. I don't know if they're building a feud with Jeff Hardy versus Shelton Benjamin, or if they're trying to build a feud with Jeff Hardy versus Randy Orton. It was a little unclear. Either way, I'm over fucking Orton. Shit's fucking ridiculous. Nothing about him interests me, and I've bitched about this before to anybody that would listen. I'm not sure how he still has fans. I audibly groaned when he came out. It was painful. But Jeff Hardy comes out. They had this match. It was the longest match of the night. It was actually really decent. Benjamin played really well in it. Jeff Hardy played his part really well. Back and forth offense, but Jeff eventually gets the upper hand and hits Benjamin with Swanton Bomb. Very similar to Monday's show. But we move on. Miz shows up on the Titantron. I don't even know if they call it that still. But says he would not be showing up with the rest of the superstars. The lesser superstars. He will come next week because he is the A-lister. Maurice and their new child is also in the video. Looking well. That's great. Move to Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose. They are now on SmackDown Live. And I think this could create an interesting dynamic with Paige being the general manager over there. Like, how do allegiances and your new job stand? You know, do you drop one for the other? Do you work in your favors there? I don't know. There's storylines to be had there. So let's see if WWE takes that opportunity. Jey Uso has a match versus Harper, and once again, the Bludgeon Brothers fucking demolish. Not only do they demolish Jey, but they actually demolish my entire fucking interest in that fucking feud. Harper picks up the win, and they both attack both Usos. It's pretty bad. Then Naomi runs out there to protect her husband. The Bludgeon Brothers back off. I like this angle, but I wish it would have been more devastating. Like, really fucking lay it onto them. Where, like, you think they might be dead. Like, WWE's beat the shit out of somebody more than that before. And, like, so I know they can do it where I feel like it's a bigger deal. And they just didn't do it here. So it made it seem like when Naomi came out there, like, it was just too forced. I did not get a realistic feeling from it. But, yeah, Harper wins via pinfall. Naomi comes out there to stop it. We move on to Sin Cara versus Samoa Joe. I didn't even fucking realize Sin Cara was still on the roster. I'm not even sure if this is the same Sin Cara. But he's on SmackDown Live, and obviously, since I've already said what the segment was about, fucking Samoa Joe is on SmackDown Live. I don't know how to feel about it. I think that's a good thing, though. I think it says that WWE is serious about this shakeup this go around. I never would have thought Joe would have got sent over there, but I love it, and I'm down with it. I think they got a lot of good shit they can do with it. So, they have a match, but pretty much just fuck this match. All you need to know is that Samoa Joe destroyed Sin Cara. And I can get down with this because, you know, it's fucking Samoa Joe. And plus you have this rivalry with Roman Reigns. Like, I can get down with some cross-brand rivalries and feuds. This could write some really good storytelling. But Samoa Joe wins via Kukita Clutch. Chaos arrived on SmackDown, according to a video. But do not confuse this with the Chaos faction in New Japan. Nope, it's merely Sanity. Which is a good thing, though. I'm happy Sanity's making it up to the main roster, but I am sad that it is minus Nikki Cross. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I understand she probably does need to stay in the NXT women's division to keep a known presence in the division, since it's losing out on several of its people, and you know you can't just have all new people there because then watchers lose interest. They're not as invested in them. But I hate her ever being a part of Sanity, though, because it kind of breaks the realism to me. But I'm excited to see where this can go. They have some good feuds set up that they could have. Move on to Big Cass and Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan's being interviewed backstage when all of a sudden this fucking chest comes out of nowhere. It's fucking Big Cass. Fucking forgot about this dude. Was kind of hoping he would not come back. But Big Cass shows up on SmackDown Live and starts calling Daniel Bryan Little Man. I mean, is this the feud that Daniel Bryan's going to have now? Is this going to be like his first real feud back? Are we going to get like a slow burn on the Miz feud and the Miz storyline? I really wanted to kick off with that, but that may just be me wanting like instant gratification. Like, hey, I remember this. Let's get fucking to it. If they slow burn it, it could be good again. So that's fine. That's fine. I just want to make sure this feud is quick. Even if it's not jumping right into Miz next, let's just go ahead and get by this one. I just don't want it to last long because Cass is fucking terrible. Then, now, and forever, fucking terrible. Speaking of Big Cass, though, and being fucking terrible, Carmella celebration comes up next. And can I talk real quick about how fucking good Carmella is at her character? Sure, she's not the greatest wrestler. She's decent at best. Sometimes she looks okay. Sometimes her matches are really flat. But her character is never flat. She buys into her character and nails it 100%. More than anyone else, probably. It's outside of one or two people on the roster. And I'm including, this is men and women. Everything she does is exactly how I would picture and expect Carmella to be. From walking down the ramp, pushing her belt in front of the fans left and right, just showing it off, to when she cuts promos or even wrestling. The way she yells, even though she had to cut it back some because it was a little obnoxious, she does it just the right amount now. When you're yelling and running around and her, having fits, like everything is perfect. So good for her. Good for her. Who would ever have thought that she would have been the best out of Enzo and Cass and her? But she shows a video of her accomplishments, minus any tomfoolery there may have been. And during this segment, Charlotte comes out. And Charlotte's cutting a promo against Carmella and pretty much saying, hey, I'm going to get back what is mine. And while this is happening, then the Iconics come out. So we out there right now, we got Carmella, Charlotte, Peyton Royce, and Billie Kay. They start cutting a promo on Charlotte. And once again, Peyton Royce is doing her Charlotte impression. But it hits me that Peyton and Billie are entertaining for now. But I can see this getting old quick. And it's not just like their characters. It's this mainly the feud. But like their characters aren't quite exactly what they were in NXT. Like I want a little more of that. Oh, I'm a champ, you're a champ. And like I wanted that. It's kind of fun and less just snarky. And plus, when can we have heel Charlotte back? Remember when her and Sasha were tearing it up every fucking week on Raw? I just want heel Charlotte back. Maybe I want heel versions of everybody. I don't even want baby faces on my roster. Either way, kind of get off topic. The Iconic jumps Charlotte while Carmella watches and Becky Lynch comes to save the day. This sets up a Charlotte versus Billie Kay match. Billie Kay had a little bit of offense here and there, and it looked like Peyton would get involved a couple of times, but Becky mostly kept her at bay. Charlotte would end up getting the win via the figure 8. But as soon as Charlotte gets the win, then the Iconics and Carmella start ganging up her on Becky, and things do look dire until Asuka, the Empress of Tomorrow, arrives on SmackDown Live. Initially, I thought, wow, I cannot believe they moved her to SmackDown. This is huge. How serious is WWE about this? But then I thought about it, and I guess if you got the new shiny toy of Ronda Rousey on Raw, you can throw out your old used toys to SmackDown. But Asuka fends off everybody and helps Charlotte and Becky. This could go a couple places. I think this might be all right. At least it's a lot of people in this like feud, so it's not like these just single women's feuds that have no meaning to them. So this gives you a little bit of substance. Next, we have a random segment about people that are now on SmackDown Live. Another sad segment where we just let you know who's on SmackDown Live now instead of actually telling you in any sort of meaningful way. We have The Bar, R-Truth, Ty Dillinger, I bet you forgot about him, Sanity, and my boys, The Club. And the biggest surprise was Andrade Cien Almas and Zelina Vega. I think that's fucking huge. I think most people were disappointed they didn't show up on SmackDown after WrestleMania, but now they're there, and he should at least jump right into the upper mid card. He's a damn good wrestler, especially with Zelina on. So I hope they showed them together, so I hope they keep them together. Next, we run into the main event of the night, which is Styles and Bryan versus Rusev and English. It's a normal match, nothing too crazy. No one's looking overpowered in this one. Goes back and forth. Rusev looks fine in it against Styles and Bryan. It doesn't really last long before Guess Who comes and Guess What They Do comes out. Fucking Nakamura comes out and low blows Styles. Big Cass also comes in and takes down Daniel Bryan. I'm not sure how I feel about these two main event level feuds right now. One disappointed us at WrestleMania, but still had hope before WWE gave Naka dick punching fetish. The other is just straight fucking garbage, and I hope Daniel Bryan makes quick work of Big Cass. But either way, Styles and Bryan win via DQ. And that was it for SmackDown. Now for 205 Live. And then NXT starts Wednesday with Johnny Gargano cuts a heavy, heavy face promo with his wife, Candice LeRae, in the ring. Talking about how he feels he's alive again after defeating Ciampa and that he's gunning for the NXT title. And he wants a shot at Aleister Black. So he calls him out. Nothing really happens there. Just a promo, then they leave the ring. We move on to our first match of the night, which is Ricochet versus Fabian Eichner. I believe it is. Eichner? Eichner? I think it's Eichner. Gets some offense in, but mostly it's a match to showcase Ricochet. But he gets a little beat up because I think they want to give you the idea that he's someone that never gives up, that can always get out of something. So they let Eichner get in some offense there. But Ricochet hits some top rope shit and, as you expect, gets the win and cuts a promo afterwards. Ricochet wins via 720 flip. I'm not sure what he calls that. But that's just dope, though. So we move on to War Raiders versus JC and Chris. And Morrow with the line of the night saying not KC and JoJo. And then continues to quote the lyrics in the middle of him commentating. But the War Raiders just demolished these Grease T-Bird knockoffs. It's a short match. War Raiders kill them with the Fallout, I think is their name of their finishing move. It's the assisted top rope leg drop. So War Raiders win via Fallout. We get a backstage segment with Shayna Baszler next, where she's going into the women's locker room and taking charge after winning the belt now. She's kind of talking shit to everybody there. She's late to this meeting. She's talking shit to the head trainer and the ref. And Dakota Kai, I believe that was her, decides to leave the room, and Shayna gets all in her face. I'm not sure if this is a new storyline between her and Shayna Baszler and Dakota Kai or what, but the segment was really kind of cringy and not realistic at all. I feel like if this had taken place in the men's locker room, in the same segment, it would have been written where somebody would have stepped up and been like, hey, we're not taking this shit. Instead, you just had the women look dumb and weak by just sitting there and listening and obeying the bully in Shayna Baszler. So they could have done better. They could have done better with that. Next, we have Killian Dane versus Lars Sullivan. I don't give a shit about that guy. But this is a no DQ match, and it's a big man match. Could be pretty fun, and it mostly was, even though I'm not a Lars fan. But both competitors traded huge blows. It's crazy how big both of these guys are, but different. Lars is huge and like muscular, while Killian Dane is huge and like fat. I don't want to say that, but he's just there. But he's cool as shit. He's just there. But they go at it, trading back and forth stuff. Lars takes the win, but you could see that coming since we knew Sanity was coming up on SmackDown Live. The ending was not very climatic. It's like they were building to something, and then we're told, all right, we need to wrap this up, and it just ended. Lars Sullivan hit the freak accident on the two chairs and pinned Killian Dane for the win. I think that shit's called freak accident. I'm not sure, so do not quote me on that. We move on to the main event, though, which is Zelina Vega and Candice LeRae. And this was a really good match. It was a really good match. The women of NXT always put on good matches. Okay, hold on. Back that up. The women in NXT almost always put on really good matches. I've mentioned this a bunch if you ever talked about me, but they just know how to work a match. Again, it's one of those NXT WWE main roster differences for whatever reason. But Candice LeRae gets the upper hand, and Andrade comes out to distract the ref. Zelina's able to get back in it. Johnny Gargano comes down and takes care of Andrade during the match, and so they continue having their match, and things kind of settle down outside of the ring. Eventually, LeRae gets Zelina and the Gargano escape, and Andrade tries to disrupt it, but Johnny Wrestling jumps into the ring, saves the day, and puts Andrade in his own Gargano escape. Zelina taps out, and you could also see that one coming from a mile away because we know that Andrade and Zelina are both now on SmackDown Live. But it was a good match, great outcome, a little fun at the end. There was a little promo cut by Johnny Gargano, officially calling out Aleister Black now. He had mentioned it during the segment at the beginning of the show, but he was officially saying, I want a match for the NXT title. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, man, we are got to be a good bit away from a takeover. So Aleister Black comes out and says he can have the shot next week. So next week, we got Aleister Black versus Johnny Gargano for the NXT title, which should be pretty dope. And can I say, how over is Aleister Black? I mean, they were chanting for Gargano, but as soon as Aleister Black came out, they instantly started chanting for him. Dude's so fucking over. He's a fucking beast. I cannot wait till he's on the fucking main roster. They probably won't use him right, but I don't even give a shit. I want him to be there. And, yeah, fucking Aleister Black, man. It's fucking great. And that concludes this week's WWE programming. I hope you enjoyed today's show. If so, please subscribe to us on iTunes. If you want the latest news about the show or future episodes, follow us on Twitter at TheHotTag. Once again, thanks for listening, and until next time, rest in peace.